It's time for us to talk about Venus lines.
I'm Kim Mott, and welcome to my Astrocartography playlist.
People have been asking for this one for a while because Venus is a friendly planet considered a benefic in astrology, meaning it brings good fortune and ease and luck and some nice things, including luxury and maybe even money and love. So it is a fan favorite. If you're not familiar with what astrocartography is, I have other videos that explain it in depth. In this video, I'm going to talk about Venus lines. Now, what I mean by lines is how your Venus shows up on a map of the globe of the Earth based on your own personal astrology chart. And it's all anchored in to the four angles of the birth chart: the Ascendant, the Midheaven, the Descendant, and the IC. If you're not familiar with what those mean, you can check out my other video on the playlist here, How to Read Your Astrocartography Map. In this video, though, I'm going to tell you what the planet Venus represents on the different lines on your map on those four angles, and what types of things you might experience on those lines. First of all, before we get started, we should talk about what the planet Venus in general represents. Venus is the planet that's in charge of, or we call the ruler of, things like beauty and harmony and the arts. It's the give and take in relationships and important partnerships, romance, and how we give and receive love. It's also the planet that rules wealth and our values and what we value. And Venus also rules pleasure. Because along with Jupiter, Venus is considered one of the benefic planets in astrology, it actually gets a reputation for bringing only good things. But remember that if you have challenging aspects in your chart, like a square or an opposition, sometimes even a trine, you can actually bring out a little bit more of the shadow side of Venus. So that's something to be aware of. Another thing to be aware of is that we have two sects, S-E-C-T-S, in astrology for what time of day you were born. If you have a nocturnal chart, a night chart, meaning that your sun is below the horizon, Venus is actually the most benefic planet for you personally. If your sun is in the sky at your time of birth, and we call that a day chart, don't worry, Venus will still definitely benefit you, but like Jupiter would be your more lucky planet. I'm actually sitting on one of my own Venus lines right now, here in the beautiful country of Tunisia. I've been here for about a month, and it's my first trip here, even though I have spent time on the same Venus descending line in other countries for many years. It's been really unique here because I have some unique aspects to my birth chart in Venus, and this puts me closer to them in some ways. Either way, it's been very on brand because I've been surrounded by really beautiful things the entire time I've been here, or even just the beauty of how people interact with each other here and how I interact with people here. It's been a wonderful trip and very Venusian. All right, so what does it look like when Venus is on the ascendant? The ascendant, like I said, is your personality, how we experience you. And so putting Venus on the ascendant can actually make you feel more beautiful and maybe even appear more beautiful to other people. It can enhance your charm and make you more socially magnetic. Venus on the ascendant can actually be a great place to reinvent your own aesthetic, your own look, because it is on the ascendant. That's how you're presenting yourself to the world. It can also be a place to enhance your own creativity and get some more creative inspiration. And because Venus rules pleasure, it just may make you feel like you're experiencing more pleasure overall in general. Now, some warnings, because every planet comes with a warning label, because everything's on a spectrum, right? It's almost like choose your own adventure. There are shadow sides to everything. On Venus lines, there is a risk of overindulging, kind of treating yourself a little too much. So there's a risk of overspending. There's also the risk of kind of vanity and relying too much on your looks or thinking about them a lot. And even it could lead into narcissism, especially if you have some more challenging aspects to your chart, like a square or an opposition, or even a trine. There's just like a free flowing energy going straight to Venus. It can lead to a little bit of shallowness or narcissism if you're not careful. So that's something to watch out for. But like I said, Venus is also the planet of values. So it can bring up how we value things out in the world. And that can be a good place to consider. Now, before we get into Venus on the midheaven, if you're enjoying this video and finding it helpful, please give a like, maybe leave a nice comment, subscribe, And do check out my website because besides this playlist here on YouTube, I have tons of free resources on kimmott.com, including planetary line interpretations for every line in astrocartography. I also do client readings and teach workshops. All the information is there on my website. Okay, Venus on the midheaven. Very, very good for using your social graces to help in your career. And like I said, your public standing and how you receive recognition out in the world. And of course, if you work in a Venus industry like beauty, fashion, anything to do with aesthetics and design, even banking and wealth management, or the arts itself, that would be a fantastic boost to your career. Venus on the midheaven could also be great if you work in fields that rely on relating to other people, like a therapist or a coach or diplomacy. In a location with Venus on the midheaven, you might actually be really good at bringing balance and harmony in your workplace. So even working remotely, you might become known as like a peacemaker or someone who is able to see both sides and help bring people together. And for the warning label, Venus on the midheaven could make you be overthinking about how to build wealth. If you have hard aspects to Venus in your chart, it could even bring up conflicts with other people or rivalries and things like that. So something to be aware of, and if that comes up, just realize that it's that square or opposition or whatnot in your chart that is ready for resolution and bringing awareness. And the last warning with a challenging aspect to Venus for Venus on the midheaven would be having a difficult time bringing together your values with your work. So like, let's say you're really into earth sustainability, but having to work in fast fashion or something like that. There could be a conflict there that's ready for resolve. Venus on the Descendant can put a heavy focus on important partnerships with other people, a romantic partner, business partners, besties, people who are important to you in general. It can also just bring harmonious interactions with other people. And because Venus rules desire and attraction and romance, it can be a great place to meet somebody for a romantic relationship if you're not already in a partnership. Venus on the Descendant doesn't always have to be romantic, though. It can also just bring harmonious interactions with other people and maybe even great friendships or a sense of community because it tends to attract people who share the same values as you. And whether you're single or in a partnership, Venus on the Descendant can be a great place to assess your own values and what you value in a relationship, the give and take. If you have hard aspects to Venus in your chart, like I do, with an opposition to the moon, as an example, that can actually bring up for you when you're on a Venus descending line, the concept of, am I giving and receiving in a balanced way? Am I valuing harmony over asking for what I need emotionally or something like that? Oppositely, it could instead be overindulgence on emotional matters. And because with Venus there's a lot of ease and pleasure, there can be a tendency toward superficial relationships or just being attracted to attractive people that are beautiful. So that's something to consider on Venus descending lines. Now, the IC that represents your private life, your home itself, that can be really interesting on a Venus line because you might be finding yourself in beautiful surroundings or really, really enjoying where you're staying. Venus IC lines can also be a wonderful place to work from home because you tend to really enjoy the beautiful surroundings you're in, and because Venus rules wealth and money, so it can be a good place to make money from home. Real estate could be another way to benefit from Venus IC lines. I have a lot of clients who like to invest in real estate or they want to buy a second home or things like that. And Venus IC lines could be a great, great place to look for those type of opportunities. You may even find yourself exploring or enhancing your abilities in the domestic arts. And like I said, you may find yourself in beautiful surroundings and really enjoying where you're staying. But if you don't happen to really like the aesthetics of where you're staying, just be aware that it actually can feel like friction because it doesn't match that energy of Venus. So if you're kind of booking a place in advance or you're house hunting or something like that, make sure that you're really in line with those aesthetics and that it pleases you visually or even emotionally, just so that it doesn't create that friction with the Venus energy once you step into it when you get to the place. Now, if you have challenging aspects, or just in general, the shadow side of Venus on the IC can be having a difficulty sort of balancing your responsibilities at home with the pleasure that you're having on Venus. Like I say, there's a warning about overindulgence and that kind of thing, or there can be a bit of laziness at home, maybe not doing the cleaning or something like that. Or it could even cause maybe a disharmony with those that you're living with, if you have people you live with at home, if there's a challenge there. So that's also a good time to just bring it up into your consciousness and wield that energy instead of letting it just kind of come at you from external circumstances. Okay, I hope that was helpful learning about Venus lines and astrocartography. Let me know in the comments your experiences, if you've ever been to your own Venus line, or if you have plans to go somewhere and are thinking about going to a Venus line. Or if you have questions, leave them in the comments, because oftentimes I choose which videos I'm going to make next based on comments in this YouTube section. Please be nice. I'm a sensitive soul. But again, I really appreciate you watching the video. Like and subscribe. And I hope to see you again on the next one in the playlist. Happy astro travels.